Now, what I studied was not about bags of gold, but talents. So my sermon will be based on the parable of the talents. So here we are with yet another parable from Jesus. The book of Matthew has many teaching sections, short, simple stories with moral or religious lessons to be learned. They illustrate what life in the kingdom of heaven is all about. Matthew frequently cites Old Testament prophecies, making it the perfect book to bridge between the Old and the New Testaments. What is this parable's message? We are all disciples of Jesus. And I remember that oftentimes the disciples just didn't get what Jesus was about. So he gave them these parables and these lessons. Sometimes we don't get it. I had to chuckle as we studied in our Bible encounter group. We were explaining the parable itself. There were 10 of us there, and I think we had a variety of scenarios of what the parable of the talents meant. Master was going on a journey, so he entrusted his property to his servants while he was away. One got 5 talents, one got 2 talents, and another he gave 1 talent. Now, a talent equates to about $300,000. That's a lot of money. I don't know that, I've never seen it. I don't know about you, but anyway. What was interesting, the master gave no instructions or expectations of what these servants should do with these talents. Maybe just hold them for safekeeping. But the one who had received the 5 talents invested it, as did the one who received the 2 talents, and they each doubled what they were given. And the servant who only got 1 talent dug a hole and hid his master's money. Now, this apparently was a common practice, to bury your treasure. The question asked is, are you a saver or a spender? And in this case, investing is really spending the money, taking the risk that it will increase. So 2 spent and 1 saved. Now, in our study group, we were hoping for a 4th scenario where one was given talents and he spent it all and he lost everything. We just thought that would add to the choices that we had. When the master came home, he went to settle the accounts. The 2 who had gained more than they were given, to them the master said, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things, and I'll put you in charge of many. Come and share your master's joy." But the 3rd servant was afraid. He was afraid to spend the master's money, afraid of what might happen to him. Because apparently this master was a hard man and had harvested where he had not sown and gathered where he had not sown his seed. So he returned to him exactly what he had been given. He had kept it safely, and he had not spent any of it. The master called him a wicked, lazy servant. You should have at least put it in the bank to earn some interest. Which of these 3 servants can you relate to? Do you take risks with your money and your abilities? Do you use your time and money wisely? Do you save? Are you frugal and don't want to lose the little bit you have? Is that so bad? Will we get thrown out into the darkness and lose all that we have because we saved I go back to the fact that in this parable, the master did not give them any instructions on what he expected they should do with his talents. What would he expect of those servants? What should they or should not have done with that money? Or should or not have done with their ability, with their time, and their talents we now equate not to money, but our talents, our abilities, what we're able to do. But what if this master was Jesus? Jesus has expectations of us. He expects us to share the good news, reach out, and share our time and our talents and our abilities, not necessarily our money. We have a Christian responsibility. When we share with the least of our brothers, we are spreading the love of Christ to all. Now this, excuse me, this parable raised lots of questions, so forgive me. I have lots of questions for you to think about the answers. How do you feel when you're given a lot of responsibility? Are you nervous? Oh, I hope I don't blow it. Are you proud? People believe in me. Are you overwhelmed? I just can't handle it all. Are you confident? I can handle it. Maybe a little of each? Or do we try to hide our ability so we won't be asked to help or assume any responsibility? Do we say enough already? I can't do anymore. Remember, we all have abilities. And remember that God is not in control. I tell myself that all the time. We are not asked to do more than we can handle. Remember, here at Redeemer, we are a team. I can look at all your faces and know that each and every one of you shares in the work of this church. We were reminded at Bible Encounter that there is no I in team. We've all been given God's grace, and there is no I in grace. How do you feel about the way you're investing your life? Satisfied? Need to make a change? Not feeling very responsible? On hold? Or not sure what it even means to invest your life? What do you think God's expectations of how of how we use our talents? He won't settle for less than my best. As long as I try, he will be pleased. I thought that kind of fit in with our fourth scenario, because he tried. He spent. He didn't get anything back. He spent everything he had, though. He doesn't expect anything more of me. I feel he expects more than I can give. And yet, he knows exactly what we're all capable of. If the Master, God's Son Jesus, returned today, how much of your talents and potential would he say you are using for him right now? Sorry you asked? Maybe 50%? 50%? Or can you say, I've given all that I've got? All of these questions came out of a parable, a story which is used to to explain what we should do with the gifts we have been given. So we were trying to explain the explanation. We are each given an ability. More is expected of some than others, but we all must try. We cannot fail for lack of trying. And the response of the master for not trying, remember, was to throw the servant out into the darkness. God's kingdom demands responsible action from its citizens. And according to Jesus, inaction results in exclusion. And yet, even then, God searches for us just as he did his lost lamb. He shines his light into the dark places so that he can call us out of the darkness and into his marvelous light. If we aren't seeking God, if we aren't committed to serving him, he seeks us. Over and over and over again, he shines his light and waits for us to follow. Or at least stay with him and not run away. The lesson here is to use what you have, however much or little, to the best of your ability, to the glory of God. Don't hide and protect what should be shared and let go of. One of these days, we will be called to account for how we used our time, talent, and treasure. Don't hold back. Don't be afraid. Dare to venture. Dare to go for broke. It would be better to lose it all, than to sit where you've got, to sit on what you've got and forfeit your place in God's kingdom. Don't waste your potential. The once and only time in his life that the one-talent man had the opportunity to do something to make a difference, he blew it. Instead of taking a chance, he played it safe. Instead of standing out above the others, he stayed under the radar so as not to draw attention to himself. The master's condemnation was not that he did something wrong, but that he didn't do anything at all. The greatest threat to being all you can be, I think that was in a commercial somewhere, is the satisfaction of who we are. What we could do is always endangered by what we might have done or what we should have done. There are millions of individuals who have buried their talents, buried their gifts and abilities. They have settled for less than their best. The enemy of best is good, and the strength of good is the norm. Don't make the norm comfortable and the average respectable. Do not condemn ourselves to a life that does not know joy or share in the Master's joy. Jesus he's trusted us with his church, his mission, life itself. What have we done with what he has given us? Have we done it in a way that will give him joy? We show up, we work hard, and we make the place a better place. One day the Master will be coming to look for us. We cannot hide from him, and we cannot avoid him. And when he finds us, he will ask, what did we do with all the gifts he entrusted to us? And what will we say? I buried them? I kept them hidden? Or will we say, I used them to change my world? The answer's up to you. Thanks be to God. Amen.